Hey guys, well, just about a year ago, we took you to Tranquil, Mississippi and Tranquil Methodist Church. We visited the grave of Dr. Thoms B Elkin. Tranquil is one of my favorite little communities, and certainly this church and these surroundings are some of my most favorite. This video you're watching was made when we were here last year. This little church in this community found itself directly in the path of an EF3 tornado in late March of 2023. And I just wanted to visit Dr. Elkin's grave again to see how it fared. I'm going to tell you just a little bit of his story and alternate between last year and this year's video as we walk along. The trustees of this church were granted the deed to this property on February the 6th, 1847. Tranquil was named by a guy named Lemon Shell for a church called Tranquil Church in Greenwood, South Carolina. You know, I obviously think I want to tell you a little bit about the church before we move on to Dr. Elkin. Other pioneer members include, of course, Lemon Shell, Wright Cunningham, Charles Word, Francis Shell Bailey, William Fitzgerald, Middleton Westbrook, Samuel Beckham, John Matthews, Margaret Allison, Margaret Hall, Dr. Elkin, John Marshall, William Dawkins, and Colonel John Wren. Folks, I just felt like I needed to pay tribute to these early members as I move around these grounds today. The church membership had shown an increase by 1861, with a list of 17 probationary members listed. I'll spare you those names. I'm now walking down the driveway, basically the same path I took in the video from last year. In 1915, the original building was torn down and a second one was constructed. But, well, it didn't last long because a tornado took it in 1920. The third building was dedicated in July of 1922 and stood here until just a few weeks ago. This devastation was once again, of course, caused by a tornado. The Elkin family came to Monroe County very early in its history. In fact, Elkin's store was probably one of the first stores in the county. The first location of the Elkins' home was about 2 miles east of Quincy, which is on, well, basically the other side of the county from where we are now. In 1827, the store was listed as a voting place. The succession of Elkins were generally store owners and entrepreneurs, but by the 1840s, they had moved north of Aberdeen and they were planters. Several of them are buried here at Tranquil, along with Dr. Elkin. Dr. Elkin was born in Monroe County in 1837. He studied medicine and became a doctor and practiced in Monroe County. His first wife was Martha Fitzgerald. They had 3 children named Reuben, Callie, and Thomas. Martha passed away, and Dr. Elkin married Mary Matthews on June 17, 1880. But let's back up just a bit. During the Civil War, Dr. Elkin served in the 43rd Mississippi as assistant surgeon. The Bloody 43rd is known as the Camel Regiment. Dr. Elkin transferred to General Stephen D. Lee's command on April the 1st, 1864. Dr. Elkin obviously returned to Monroe County after the Civil War and continued to practice medicine. This is the grave of Reuben, the son of Dr. and Martha Elkin, who died young. We're coming up on Dr. Elkin's grave, and then next you're going to see the grave of Callie Elkin. Callie was a daughter of the Elkins, and she also died at a young age. This is the grave of Martha, or Maddie, or Mrs. Dr. Elkin, and she died at the tender young age of 35 years old. And next you'll see the grave of William Elkin, Thomas and Maddie's son. You can see that Dr. Elkin was not the only person buried in this cemetery who was touched by the Civil War. You know, this little cemetery is such a neat little place, and all these people have stories to tell, and these stories play an integral part in making this community what it is today. I'd like to encourage you to read a little bit more about the 43rd Mississippi, or the Camel Regiment, and normally I would invite you to come visit and pay your respects to Dr. Elkin, but I'm not sure that right now would be just exactly a great time for that. This is the same walk through the gates of the cemetery, and my absolute most favorite monument here just didn't fare too well during the tornado. You know, I don't even remember who this monument belongs to, but this was a beautiful angel watching over all of us here. It looks like the topmost part of the monument is right over here. You know, making this video was a lot more emotional for me than I expected it to be, so I think maybe we'll just make our way toward Dr. Elkin's grave and see what we find. You actually are looking directly at it right now. It looks like his monument is left in 3 different pieces, and that's Reuben on the right and Callie and Martha on the left of Dr. Elkin's 3 stones. It looks like that baby William's marker has been upended a bit. You know, I just don't know how I could add too much more to this, except for maybe if anybody sees this video in the near future and you are interested in making contributions to the restoration efforts here, maybe you could call the Wren Water Office, where the congregation seems to be meeting, and see if there was some way you could help with their efforts. Dr. Elkin and his family had a huge impact on this community, just like many other of these founding Monroe County pioneers in this cemetery did. I hope you've learned a little bit about Dr. Elkin and, well, maybe the 43rd Mississippi and the Tranquil community. And if you're interested in watching the video we made last year, I'll include it on the end screen. Thank you.